Well, the Police Criminal Investigations Department is investigating threats on the life of JoyNews' Manasseh Azuri-Awuni following his expose on the operations of the DI group from the Christiansburg Castle, the former seat of government. Malik Dabu, my Joy Online editor, who's also deputy head of the political desk here at JoyNews, joins me in studio with what we know about these death threats against Manasseh. Hello, Malik.
Hello,
thank you for making time. Now, in what form have these death threats come?
Well, some of these death threats have been text messages and social media statements and posts that people have sent to Manasseh and some members of our own team members here. We do know that these come from persons who have been affected by the documentary. We also know that this is not sanctioned by either the state or the government. Nonetheless, the threats have been made, and so we collected the information and we submitted same to the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service. And in fact, before we submitted our own set of evidence and facts to the police themselves said that they had picked up intelligence on the basis of which they are leading some of these intelligence and following up in order to check whether there is any credible threat accompanying these threats that have been issued on Manasseh.
All right, so for now, that is what we know, that the police are investigating.
Absolutely, they are following up because they have to check whether these threats are credible or whether they are just coming from persons who, some lunatic fringes around the corners who send these things. And we tend to receive some of these things usually when you do a big story such as this.
Is there cause to worry?
Well, that depends on what the police find out. As I said, these things tend to happen usually when you do a big story such as this, which has political ramifications. You will have lunatic fringes who do not have any power to follow through with their threats. But usually when these threats come, you don't want to take anything for granted. You don't want to leave anything to chance. You inform the police. You give them whatever information you have. Whatever leads they themselves pick up, they can follow all of that because you just want to be certain that you don't have any anything untoward happening. It's the reason why sometimes you don't take these things lying down. You inform the police themselves follow their own leads, so that you want to be sure that you are covered if anybody harbors any ill will towards the work that we do.
All right, thank you very much, Malik Dabo, bringing us that update from the police side investigating the death threats against Manasseh Azuri-Awuni, the head of the investigative desk here at JoyNews. Now, staying with the JoyNews documentary, Militia in the Heart of the Nation, government has fiercely denied any links with the DI group found to have been operating from the Christiansburg Castle, Osu, which until 2013 was the seat of government. Minister of Information Kojo Nkrumah at a news conference on Friday stated the group's activities at the castle were not sanctioned by government and they also did not have its blessing. He, however, admitted the leader of the group, Nana Akufo-Addo alias Choman, was a personal bodyguard of Nana Akufo-Addo, who was given a new job as a member of a government task force set up to chase former government officials who still kept government vehicles and landed properties. Mr. Nkrumah then went on to explain that the DI Group is a company involved in helping unemployed young men and women find jobs.
This organization or this company known as the I Group initially succeeded in using the garden grounds of the castle Osu for its activities because its promoter, one Nana Akufo-Addo, had been assigned an office there to work with a task force to retrieve landed property and vehicles in the possession of officials of the SY Mahama administration. After the conclusion of the work of the task force in August 2018, he subsequently converted the office allocated to him into a private business office for the stated purposes of his company. Admittedly, this should not have been allowed to happen in the first place. But it was quickly dealt with in October 2018 when he was evicted from the premises by a joint operation involving personnel of the National Security Secretariat and the Ghana Police Service. We wish to reiterate that contrary to attempts to suggest that Nana Akufo-Addo is currently associated with President Akufo-Addo, that is not the case. He is not currently presently associated with President Akufo-Addo. Indeed, Nana Akufo-Addo left the employ of President Akufo-Addo in 2010, at a time when he was not even presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party.
Now, the news conference in itself contradicted what the communications director at the presidency, Eugene Hein, had told JoyNews when we reached out to him about the operations of the group at the castle. He stated at the time that the president has no knowledge of the alleged activities of the said group, let alone sanction the activities. My checks from national security have revealed that no such group is operating from the castle. The information minister, however, admitted at the news conference that the group operated from the castle until they were evicted in October 2018. There have been a number of contradictions since that first official response from government. The governing NPP's national organizer, Samir Uku, on his part, said the party would not rubbish the documentary and that there are lessons to be learned.
Or help them look for jobs, mentor those you can. Because I in fact, interestingly, I spoke to a renowned businessman in Accra today, this morning, and he told me that, oh, he's been there to even offer entrepreneurial lecture to these people before on how they can also turn around the little savings they have to be something big. And I was very much impressed. But as you say, anytime it has to do with bread and butter, it has to do with aggression. And so for that matter, I have said as a party, we won't throw the documentary away. As a government, we won't wish or watch the documentary away. There are some things we pick up from there and also help shape the mentality of what we are doing.
And Deputy Majority Chief Whip Matthew Nyindam condemned the activities of the DI group, supporting a call by the minority for the arrest and prosecution of its members.
The president made a very good call to all political parties, especially the NDC and the MPP, to meet and develop a roadmap to disband these vigilante groups.
They say based on this video, they've lost confidence in him.
That is what the president has done. The president has given another alternative, that if they refuse, if they are not able to do it, he is going to initiate a legislation to disband it. So the president is not relying on them. He has another option. And if this option fails, he's going to initiate legislation to disband them.
So if the NDC decides to pull out?
If they decide to pull out, obviously the second option is going to take place because he's asked them to do it. But if you are not able to do it, I will do it my way. And so if they decide that they've lost trust in the president, we have all saw what happened, all by-elections that were bloody. No president was bold enough to initiate what Nanado is doing. I commend Nanado, and I think that, look, those boys who claim they are in the castle doing what and what, the president is not endorsing anybody. It's not endorsing anybody. A removal of the president, the constitution makes it clear. They should go ahead and see whether it will fly or it will not fly. That's their democratic right. You can't stop them.
What is the unnecessary inflexibility?
But do you think that this exercise they are journeying, or this route they have decided to embark on, where will it lead them to? Just mere political propaganda.
Well, then on Sunday, Minister of State in charge of National Security, Mr. Brian Echampong, in a Facebook post confirmed that the group held its end-of-year party at the Castle Gardens on December 21, sharply contradicting claims by the Information Minister that the group was evicted in October last year. Now, in another development, the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Roland Afilmoni, has commended JoyNews' Manasseh Azuriawuni for his expose on the operations of the DI group.
I think Manasseh deserves commendation, and Joy FM for having the courage to come up with such a piece at a time when, it's very difficult because look at the backlash from certain supporters, even from journalists. And it tells you that, you need a tougher skin and professional dexterity to do what Manasseh did. The debate continues that as a nation, we have a responsibility imposed by necessity to deal with vigilantism once and for all. All of us are at risk, not only political actors, also journalists, because we go out to report and we encounter them. But what happened at I also was in Wagum, the shooting incidents. Any journalist could have fallen victim of stray bullet, but thank God no journalist was hit. So must we allow the worst to happen before we act? The answer is no. So we commend Joy FM for the campaign it has launched. Until all of us ought to lend our support to this campaign to rid our country of thuggery and excessive force in our body politic.
Now, the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council is demanding an investigation into The recent JoyNews documentary, which detailed the existence of a group which used the castle for training hundreds of persons for operations. President of the council, Reverend Professor Frimpong Mansell, though not convinced the group are militias in the strict sense of the word, believes the use of the state facility for their training activities is illegal. He tells JoyNews the responses from government on the existence of the DI group and the activities has been underwhelming and disappointing.
The responses has not so much impressed me. Whether it was a security company, whether it was vigilante or not, whether it was a security zone or not, I will not allow my house or my office or my room to be taken over by somebody to run his own personal business. For over 2 months, they are alleging August to October, and that national security will not be able to get them. Also, there was inconsistency in the fact that they said they were driven away in October. By December, there was also a program there. So all these things tells us that we are not secured. I will ask people in government, especially the national security, should be very vigilant and always be on top of things. And of course, the responses too were not the best to me. Saying that, at least it has opened our eyes. The state apparatus, the state machinery, the government should be up and doing in terms of this thing, because I've said that even though they may not be a vigilante group or whatever, it was still, we can still not be justified to have those people being there. And I believe that it should be investigated and those people involved should be punished to deter others from doing it.
The Pentecostal Council also says it is appalled by government's failure to honor a meeting with the NDC over the disbandment of political party militias. Reverend Professor Frimpong Mansell says government's posturing smacks of mere rhetoric and lip servicing at a time Ghanaians are calling for the disbandment of such groups. The council is calling on all Ghanaians to reject the NDC and MPP in 2020 if they fail to disband their various militia groups.
We asked the government in power and the opposition party, the lead opposition party, NDC. These two parties are the parties that are harboring or incubating or sponsoring or managing vigilante groups. We came out clearly in no uncertain terms that these two parties should disband their vigilantes groups or the groups that are associated with their parties. We had a healthy response from His Excellency the President during his SONA address or the State of the Nation's address. He inviting the NDC for them to sit together within a week and disband it. We were so happy that something good was going to happen. The NDC also came out that they would want it to be disbanded. But for them, the president should involve other mediators like the Peace Council and the clergy. We, the GPCC, came out to say that we are even available if we will be involved. But we've seen that it has turned out to be rhetoric, accusation and counter-accusation. The president wants them to meet. The NDC says, unless you bring Peace Council or civil society. And for nearly 1 month, nothing has happened. We are appalled, we are discouraged, we don't see the way clear. But for the GPCC, our timelines are intact. We are waiting, it's now 1 month gone, 2 more months to come. And within the next 2 months, if we don't see vigilantism disbanded, like we said, we will take to the streets and make a peaceful protest across the nations, from the north to the south and east to the west, and tell our people to reject any political party that harbors and promotes vigilantism. We are over 8 million, and for this time, we are serious, and we will not allow politicians to display any politics on us. The power belongs to us. We have given it to them, and we will make sure that vigilantism never succeeds. It is good news that these two lead parties have said they abhor it, they don't support it, they hate it. What is preventing the MPP, whether the NDC will come on the table or not, to say that from today, we don't want it, we don't accept it, and it should be disbanded? And what is preventing the NDC from coming out today to say that whether we are bringing mediators or no mediators, we trust in the national security operatives, we trust in the Electoral Commission, and we are disbanding it now. Either now or never.
You're also here on JoyNews Prime. And in other news, Member of Parliament for Pum Katamanso Ni Laye Afotiagbo says he does not believe in the inclusion of party militias in providing security in the country. According to the former Greater Accra Regional Minister, politicians must join forces to disband the services of party militias because they have nothing good to offer the country. Mr. Afotiagbo says if the Commission of Inquiry into the Ayawaso West Wuogon violence outcome is fair, it will help disband vigilantes in Ghana.
Those who have been put on the commission are very eloquent people, people who have good records in this, good track record in this country. We all have respect for all of them because some of us met them when we were very young, and we don't have the doubt at all in our minds that they can do something good. Until they fail to do, or they fail everybody, then we will know whether they've changed their attitudes or whether they've changed or what we have known them for is still what they are. So I have the confidence as an individual that through their efforts and the sitting, this vigilantism will come to an end, because some of us do not believe in it. I've been a member of parliament for 4 terms, for almost 16 years in this country. I've never relied and used any vigilantism or any macho man or any landguard to do anything for me. And when I was also a regional minister, we did not rely on any vigilantism or any macho man to come and do anything extraordinary for us. The most important thing is that as a politician, you must make sure that things are done well. The people are given the needed respect and recognition and the needed relief that they need, and the development that they need in the catchment areas. With that, you will not be found wanting. Vigilantism will not do anything for a politician. So we should not rely on it.
Right, and the very latest we have is that the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board has issued a release saying that the Christiansborg Castle is actually museums, or one of the museums that the country has. You recall that the Information Minister in his statement on Friday indicated that the castle, the Christiansborg Castle, is not a security zone as indicated in JoyNews Manasseh Azuri Witness documentary. Now we'll go to that story now. So the Christiansborg Castle is a museum. That's a Museums and Monuments Board. There's a Ghana Museums and Monuments Board. So the Christiansborg Castle, popularly known as the Osu Castle, is not a security installation, but rather a museum. In the statement signed by the acting Chief Executive Director Kinsley Fosu Intiamwa, the board said the former seat of government now has a similar status like the Elmina and Cape Coast castles, backing government's response that the facility is not a security zone but was being transformed into a museum. Now, making the castle a museum, it was a statement that was made by the president sometime back in 2017. Let's go to the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board. Let's go to their website and check out the museums that if you go to the website, you're going to see the museums that they have. And it says that the 8 main museums are the National Museum Accra, which was built in 1957, the Museum of Science and Technology, MST, the Volta Regional Museum, Ho, the Cape Coast Castle Museum, the Upper East Regional Museum, Bolgatanga, the St. George's Castle Museum, the Medina Castle, the Asherford Museum, the Fort Apollonia Museum of Nzima Culture and History, the Fort San Antonio Museum, Axim. Now, the only castles that are mentioned here on the website of the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board will be the Cape Coast Castle Museum, the St. George's Castle Museum. These two are the only ones that have been mentioned. Now, you may think that, well, the website is yet to be updated, but if you go back, you tend to realize that the this website has been updated quite regularly, and so they have latest news. And if you go to news and events, you'll get to see that they actually have some fresh items that they have listed and indicated there. So, well, not quite the kind of thing you'd expect if you're going to the Museums and Monuments website. And if indeed the Osu Castle is a museum right now, you'd expect that people can freely go there. But on Saturday during News File, we heard Dr. Kwesi Eni indicate that he had to, when he was going to the commission, the Osu Castle, for the commission hearing, he could not go in with his vehicle. It was made clear to him that he couldn't do that because it's a security zone. Now, we're taking a break here on JoyNews Prime. We have more news still ahead in the bulletin. Well, government has suspended with immediate effect the transportation and export of rosewood.
I wish to state that harvesting of rosewood is illegal in any part of this country. The transportation and export of rosewood is suspended with immediate effect.
When we come back, we're bringing you business news, and coming up in business news, the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority says there are no Boeing 737 MAX 8s flying the country's routes. Stay tuned in.
Certainly, Ethiopia themselves have grounded the 737 MAX, so we don't have the possibility of operating that into Ghana, and Mauritania doesn't operate into Ghana. So Ghana, for now, we can see that that type of aircraft is not flying here.
Stay tuned in. Sandra Afenu will be here with the business news in a bit. Welcome back to JoyNews Prime. Now, government has, with immediate effect, placed an indefinite ban on the harvesting, salvaging and transportation of rosewood across the country. Already issued permits for salvaging and harvesting of rosewood have also been revoked. Describing the felling of rosewood as a national security threat, the Land and Natural Resources Minister, Kweku Asuma Treme, warned of dire consequences if urgent steps are not taken to address the menace, and has therefore directed regional and district security councils to handle it at their level. The ban follows the JoyNews Hotline documentary, Killing Our Roses.
I wish to state that harvesting of rosewood is illegal in any part of this country. Similarly, the transportation and export of rosewood is suspended with immediate effect. Note that salvage permits were issued only for the evacuation of lion logs. Any fresh harvesting of rosewood tree is illegal and must be reported for immediate arrest of the culprits. 2. The Forestry Commission is hereby directed to suspend the issuance and processing of CITES permits for the export of rosewood. 3. The rosewood menace has become a national security threat, and I therefore appeal to all RISEC, DISEC, in the northern sector, opinion leaders, Ghana Police Service and Customs Division, the press, and the general public to support the ministry in our effort to regulate the exploitation of natural resources of this country.
Public Accounts Committee is tonight expressing concern over the... So we will take that story again. And the Parliament's Public Accounts Committee is tonight expressing concern over what it says seems to be a creeping trend of public servants earning salaries without working and having same converted to loans when they are found out. An employee of the Health Ministry is, for instance, captured in the 2016 Auditor General's report as receiving 12-month salary worth over 80,000 cedis, despite not being at post. Other employees of the ministry in various health facilities have also been fingered in the report as receiving same. There is more in the following report.
It is a regular feature, one that many anti-corruption crusaders look forward to. Parliament's Public Accounts Committee's review of the Auditor General's report. The committee on Monday commenced its review of the 2016 Auditor General's report. Among the infractions observed included a payment of 86,735 cedis paid to an official of the Ministry of Health for 1 year despite his absence from work.
We recommended that management should pursue recovery of the amount or convert it as an advance and charge it to the personal account, which will be deducted from the salary or entitlement. So it's not even clear to me whether the person was going on retirement or he separated, moved to another organization.
Officials of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital were also questioned on a retirement package paid former Chief Administrator Professor Efua Hesse.
Professor Efua Hesse, who was the acting Chief Executive, has returned the vehicle. As far as the money is concerned, she says that we wrote to her and he says that it was a board of competent jurisdiction that awarded her the distance, we can proceed to court. So we are weighing on the whether going to court to retrieve 51,000 and the cost of that litigation will be something that you can advise. We'll go and then pursue that in court and then get about it.
The committee will continue with its proceedings on Tuesday.
Now, inadequate incubators and other facilities as well as late referrals are making 50% of babies die within 24 hours after birth at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. That's the harrowing statistics churned out by the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital during the hospital's 2018 review. Richard Kojonyako has been following the events and has filed this report.
The cry of babies at the neonatal intensive care units of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. Sadly, it is not all the babies here that live to tell the stories they brought forth with to the world. Some barely spend 24 hours in this world. 50% of them die within 24 hours and 80% of them die within a week after their birth. Yema Mariama Bukari is a specialist pediatrician at the hospital.
Looking at referrals, we still have problems where people are being referred late. And I'm saying that because when you look at the internal audits that we do as a department, looking at our neonatal deaths, we realize that 50% of our deaths are dying within the first 24 hours when it comes to newborns. So generally, all the newborn mortalities, 60% of our mortalities, the deaths, are from outside referrals. And then 40% are inborn, that is from the delivery suite. If you want to see those who are dying within the first week, it goes up to about 80%. So most of our mortalities are within the first week.
Practically, the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital has no neonatal intensive care unit. The unit is more of a makeshift structure. Simply put, the unit purchased with another department. As at the end of 2018, they had only one functional incubator. That's not all. Nurses and doctors here go through hectic moments in order to save babies here because equipment and other supporting facilities are practically not there.
Towards the latter part of 2018, we only had one incubator. That poses a risk because you have babies who are very low birth weight babies, 1 kilo, 1.5 kilo, and you need the incubator to keep and provide warmth for these babies. And if one person is there already and you're taking a call from a referral center that, oh, you know, I have a 1 kilo baby I'm sending to you, it is very difficult. We still accept, but we are not able to provide all that warmth.
This is a referral facility that caters for the close to 3 million population of the central region and even beyond. Acting CEO of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, Dr. Eric Njedu, says the hospital is soliciting support to deal with the challenge.
We have, as the board and management, submitted proposal for development of such a structure with benevolent organizations. And the ministry is deeply aware and is making effort to also look at how such edifice can be erected. In the interim, there is a need to create space within the existing hospital infrastructure and then put up gadgets like baby warmers, phototherapy machines and incubators to be able to house these neonates when they are referred to our facility.
Until the hospital is supported to deal with this heartbreaking situation, babies born here would continue to die. Richard Kwejunyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
A 9-member committee tasked to investigate the violence that broke out between the police and the military in May 2018 have submitted their report to the Defense and Security Ministries. Details of the report are yet to be made public, but the Interior Minister Ambrose Derry, at the short presentation today, said they have already started working to forestall any recurrence.
Events of May 16, 2018 in the northern regional capital, Tamale, were bloody and shocked the country. The men and women of the police and military, who are supposed to be ensuring peace, turned their fists on each other in a free-for-all fight. This was after a soldier was arrested for beating up his wife. The violence left several policemen with various degrees of injury. Chaired the 9-member committee that went on this mission to find out what went wrong.
There had been several such incidents of breach of the peace, perversion of the rule of law and justice by this event, which to a very large extent threatens to erode public confidence in the two institutions. For instance, it came to light that while the Northern Regional Security Council, RESEC, launched some initiatives in their bid to resolve the two previous incidents, they were not timely and vigorous enough to contain the buildup of tensions and the threat to national security.
Today's meeting to receive the report was a high-level one, attended by security top shots, including the IGP and the Chief of Defense Staff. Ambrose Derry is Interior Minister.
We should move forward, making sure that we do not repeat these clashes, and that if for any unfortunate reason any of them don't come out, we work together, work to deal with it immediately and move forward. And that Ghana is relying on both the police and the army, working together with the other institutions such as immigration, prisons, fire service, the rest of them, to keep Ghana peaceful.
Both ministries on receiving the report say the content and its recommendation would not be made public yet until the president who set up the committee sees it. The violence of May 16 was not the first, but this report, compiled over the last 10 months, could make room for change.
All right, that'll be it for the bulletin. My name is Israelai. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a good night.